Looking ahead to tonight's coverage on WCNC Charlotte, a powerful story now, deeply personal as well, about how a breakdown in the justice system changed one North Carolina teacher's life forever, really. A former middle school teacher and football coach now suing the city of Charlotte, as well as several officers from CMPD, after he says he was mistakenly identified. That led to a criminal conviction. So we have our Nate Morbido looking into all of this. Nate, thanks for joining us here about this lawsuit. Okay, so tell us what you uncovered, because there was a lot that just kind of down spiraled here.
Yeah, and I just love the way you described it as a breakdown in the justice system, because that's really based on what we've investigated happened here. In this particular case, this man, Kendrick Gonzalez, is suing the city of Charlotte and its police officers because they arrested a person back in 2023. They got the right suspect, charged him with breaking or entering, possessing heroin, resisting officers, serious charges. And when they went to identify him, and this man gave a couple different names, he gave the name of Kendrick Gonzalez, who just so happened to be, and this is really painful, his childhood friend. They lived 2 doors down from each other. They were on the same baseball team. They played in the sandbox together. And when he gets busted by Charlotte police at a hotel, he gives the name of a former friend who lives about 2 hours away. Now, this friend has no clue this is happening, right? Police first get a different name. They can't find any records. So he gives the Gonzalez name. And then they pull up his license, and they look at the picture of the license versus the guy they have in front of them. They said, this doesn't really look like the same guy. They still bring him to the jail. Now, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office tells us staff fingerprinted this man, because that's what they do in every case. And we're given the correct name. Let me give you this guy's real name, Kendrick Charlotte. That is who we're talking about. Still, the name Kendrick Gonzalez keeps moving through the court system. A magistrate sets bond. Gonzalez's name is on it. The magistrate notes unsure of identity. Okay? Now, we don't really know why Kendrick Charlotte moved so quickly through the system, but within 2 weeks, he was pleading guilty to one of the crimes, breaking or entering. And he did so under the name Kendrick Gonzalez.
Oh boy.
So think about how many layers there were, how many opportunities to catch the mistake and correct it that did not happen.
Yeah.
So a conviction goes on Gonzalez's record at this point. And let me point out, by the way, on the same day that this man pleaded guilty, there is a sentencing worksheet in the case file with his right name in it. So it's in the case file, yet he's still pleading guilty under this other name. In the meantime, in Graham, North Carolina, not too far from like Burlington, Greensboro area, Kendrick Gonzalez, unaware, is coaching kids at a school in football. He's a teacher there. And he gets a call from Human Resources and says, you need to get out the field right now. There's a conviction on your record. His players are around him. His fellow coaches are around him. He's embarrassed. He's blindsided. He can't understand what in the world is going on. And he just started this job. And just like that, he lost it. So now imagine, as he's trying to research what is going on here, he Googles the mugshot and he sees his name, but whose picture is there? His old friend from middle school. And so they work really hard, him and his attorney, over the course of 9 months to a year to get this charge thrown out, this conviction thrown out, because clearly it's not the right person. His attorney, Dominique Cam, we interviewed a few weeks ago about this case because they filed a lawsuit, as we mentioned, against the city. I want you to just take a listen just for a second about what Dominique says, because you can tell he's affected by this too, because we're talking about a teacher, public servant, right? Football coach, an Army veteran who is just living his life, and all of a sudden this bomb is dropped on him.
Really feel bad for him. I didn't believe I guess the facts would be this simple when I first heard the story, and did not believe that there would be such an oversight. And so a lot of things were dropped in the process, and it's just alarming and devastating to him. And it's crazy that this would happen. And I know that a lot of people wouldn't believe him, because how would something like this happen? They want to see it in proof, and we hope that getting this story out there kind of helps show people that he was serious. He wasn't lying. All the difficulties with trying to get a job and trying to pay for things, we hope that this kind of helps vindicate that, and then hopefully create some policy changes so that this doesn't happen again.
So I've been covering, criminal justice for more than 2 decades. I've never heard of anything like this before. You hear about people using other people's names, but it not getting caught before conviction goes through is really unusual. And let me kind of paint the next year for Kendrick Gonzalez, because he loses his job. He tells me he sends out hundreds of applications. It takes him almost another year to find another job. And he went to school to be a teacher. He's now like a daycare teacher, and he drives a van at the daycare. And he's disappointed by that, because he says, that's not what my passion was. I was going to be the head football coach eventually up there, and now I'm basically having to start over. And so you really feel for him for that. He's been stressed by it. The mental toll it's been taken on. He thought he was going to lose his house at one point. He had to sell one of his cars through no fault of his own. I mean, it's just unreasonable to accept that this is the way our system can work.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond crazy. This only happens kind of like in the movies. But, beside the mental toll, and was this more than a clerical error? And what is the response now from the folks there in our city?
Yeah, I mean, so they kind of allege that there was some malicious prosecution going on there, that the police weren't doing a good enough job to really verify. They had information that the picture and the person didn't match up, but they went forward anyways, right? Mm-hmm. That's part of their argument. I will tell you, just today, the city of Charlotte responded to their lawsuit. They're asking for it to be dismissed, but among other things, they said their officers they acted in good faith. They said if this man suffered any damages, it's not because of their fault. It's the actions of other people, other third parties, including Kendrick Gonzalez for giving the name, right? So there's a lot of, it's this person. And also, we talked to the courts, the clerk of court's office. Well, we're not really in charge of a certain part of this. We're just holding on to the documents. So you need to talk to the prosecutor. So we talked to the district attorney's office. Well, our job is to make sure the right person is in court. And in this case, the right person was in court. You should talk to the clerk's office. In the meantime, CMPD, because it's a lawsuit, they're not going to say anything about this situation. But again, they said they were not reckless. They were not malicious. This is in their answer to the complaint. In the meantime, this is also mind-blowing to me. There is no record that Kendrick Gonzalez ever pleaded guilty to this crime now, because they expunged the case against Gonzalez, and we can't find any proof that whether they recharged him or put it back in the system. So this man with a lengthy criminal history, there is now a missing piece of that. Nobody is taking responsibility for that either. It's so unusual here. And I'll point this out too, because this was under different administration at CMPD, but our colleague Jesse just interviewed the new chief, Stella Patterson, a couple weeks ago, and she really is pushing accountability and transparency. And I'm talking generally, I'm not talking about to this case, but says that, look, if we make a mistake, we're going to look into it, and we're going to try to make sure we're doing things the right way. We're going to hold ourselves to a high standard. I'm not saying the previous administration didn't do that, but that's a very clear point she's making here. I cannot imagine any situation where the public can say this is acceptable.
Right.
I just can't see how anybody would be okay with this.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think our viewers are going to say or think after watching your reports?
I think they're going to have sympathy, number one, for Mr. Gonzalez. I think they're going to be mad at Kendrick Gonzalez, number two, for basically throwing his friend under the bus. But they're also going to ask, where's the oversight here? Where are the extra protections to protect innocent people, ultimately? And something that I've worked on a lot in recent years is innocent people. When I did my series on police pursuits, right, and there was always the argument, well, someone's running from police. So it's their responsibility. Of course, they play a role in it. But when you have people who are minding their own business, who have no involvement with the police whatsoever, and the police pursuit's getting killed, or in this case, losing their livelihood because of decisions that are being made, we all should be demanding better. And I think that there is probably some people looking internally right now from the system perspective about why did this happen, what can we do better. It's also amazing to me that we just found out about this a few weeks ago. This happened 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Did not know.
How did you find out then?
Well, I have sources, and I, have close relationships throughout being here for 8 years now, and so,
Good.
People know that I cover vulnerable populations and I cover justice system breakdowns. Those are some of my biggest priorities, and so this isn't the first time we've exposed something that did not go as planned with policing, and I think that we try to be fair, and to that point. Our story is online right now at WCNC.com. Our actual TV story airs at 6. You're going to hear from Kendrick Gonzalez at 6 o'clock. But this morning, I looked back in the court system just to make sure that nothing's changed with this lawsuit. And sure enough, today, the city put in their response. And so in an effort to be fair and balanced here, we really want to point that out too. And so, I think it's a puzzling situation. And you could really feel it. He lives close to Greensboro, so he really just wanted to do this virtually, this interview with us. That's what he felt comfortable with. And so you could feel it, though, through the computer screen, just how hurt he was on so many layers in this situation.
I mean, yeah, you feel for him already just talking to you and your reporting. So thank you for the work you do, shining a spotlight on a situation like this, and we'll hopefully get some of the, calls and pushes to action internally and see what happens next. All right, so if you want to see Nate Morabito's story, that will be here on WCNC Charlotte again for our 6 p.m. newscast tonight. And his story is already online on WCNC.com.